Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Donald Thomas. And today, we're going to go over the Indianapolis Colts traveling down to Florida to face the dreaded, and I only say dreaded because we've lost 9 straight down there in Jacksonville facing them Jaguars, Donald. 9 straight. Have you ever even heard of a streak loss like that at someone else's house?
No. That's crazy. 9 straight in Jacksonville? Wow. Yeah. I mean, I knew that I like the Colts, it's always been rough traveling to Jacksonville. It's always been rough playing Jacksonville, period. But I did not realize that it was 9 straight. So that's 9 years of agony. Wow. Okay, well, let's get into it, man.
Absolutely. Let's get into that, man. Before we do, I will remind you, BetOnline is your world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at the weekly prize and your share of $200,000. When the game is over, head over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Remember, bet online. The game starts here. So, how does the team, and a lot of these guys have been here for the majority of that 9 straight losses, how does a team get that out of their head and turn the corner in a situation like that, do you think?
Yeah, man. Well, here's the deal. You can't think about it, right? You can't think about previous years, what has traditionally happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more of like breaking the generational curse, when it comes to like teen pregnancies or something like that, right? But it comes down to leadership. That's simply what it comes down to. You can't think about, oh, we struggle, we go to Jacksonville. Like, every away game is an away game. There's no secret juju that's been put on the Colts to lose every time they go to Jacksonville. It's more so of the coaching staff and the leaders in the locker room just having guys ready to go, understanding the severity of a divisional game, blocking out all the other noise, not listening to the stats, and just going out there and playing football. It's going to be a hard-fought game. It's a divisional game. It's going to be that, right? It's going to be that. They're not going to lay down. I don't care if they're 0-4. The worst team you want to play is a team that has nothing to lose or has their back against the wall because they're going to come out, shooting from the opening tip-off or kickoff, whatever you want to call it. So you got to just be ready to go, man. That's simply put, they got to be ready to fight.
Absolutely. Now, the situation with this is, you got Shane Steichen, who it doesn't seem to matter who he's got at quarterback, whether it was Gardner Minshew, Anthony Richardson, even Joe Flacco. He seems to be able to come up and with plays and call plays that absolutely puts their quarterback in the best position to move the football and score points. Now, in this game, we don't know, is it going to be Anthony Richardson? Is it going to be Joe Flacco? He did say if Richardson can play, he'll play. Right? But we don't know if he'll be able to play with that hip pointer. What mindset, what do you think? What can you do, honestly, when a team, you're going on into a game, you don't know who you're going to be playing? I mean, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, they're 2 different style quarterbacks. How much pressure is that putting on, say, Jacksonville, you think, because they don't know who to practice against?
Yeah, I mean, the unknown is what's going to really hurt Jacksonville. As a D coordinator, you're sitting there like, I'm checking the injury reports. I'm trying to get inside information. I'm trying to find out who is going to be the starter. If I am, you gotta take a bet, right? You only have but a certain amount of time at practice to figure this out. So you have to err on the side of who you really feel is going to be the starting quarterback. You have to have a game plan to start that off, but you also have to have a contingency plan to be able to say, oh, shoot, they got, Anthony Richardson out there. He's suited up. He's taking, reps with the first team in pre-practice or pre-game warm-ups. So like, it's looking like it's Anthony. All right, scratch what we said we were going to be doing. We're playing this coverage now, but you got to be able to practice for both. It's a nightmare for him for sure, trying to figure it out, but it also is a double-edged sword because the Colts also have to practice, and they also have to game plan. They also have to figure out who their starting quarterback is. Now they have the advantage of knowing who they're leaning on to start, for this game. But at the end of the day, like if they're up in if they're up in the air, then you just got to rely on the run game. The run fits change because if you got AR in the game, there's probably gonna be an extra guy in the box, as opposed to if Flacco's back there, you don't have the extra guy in the box because he can throw the football. He's leaning, more towards being a pocket passer. So, it just comes down to going back to the fundamentals and basics for this week and executing and doing those things well, because you don't know who's going to be in there, but you got to practice against different boxes, different fronts, all that kind of good stuff. But it's going to be, the onus is put on the offensive line here on a week like this, because you don't know who's going to be back there. And if someone's different, you got to adjust to it on the fly.
Yeah. Here's the thing also, we're going to stay on the offensive side because, not just Anthony Richardson, but Jonathan Taylor has that high ankle sprain, hasn't practiced yet. We don't know if he's going to play or how much he's going to play this coming Sunday. And Jacksonville, believe it or not, is top 10. They're 6th in the NFL at yards per carry allowed. They're allowing under 4 yards a carry as a team this year. And they've only given up 420, just a hair over 100 yards a game rushing. Yes, it's still, that, but it's under 4 yards at 6th in the NFL. If Taylor does not play, oh my goodness, that puts so much on, say, Sermon or Goodson or whoever else it is out there. Would having Taylor even being available to play be beneficial, even if he doesn't get that many snaps?
If he can go, you get as much as you can out of him without hurting him for the future. Both parties have to be real about the situation, but you also can't be selfish either from an organizational standpoint. So you know that when guys tend to get money and get paid, the sensitivity to injuries goes up tremendously. It just is what it is. It's just been like that forever. And so, if a guy's banged up, he's hobbled, you're questioning if he's definitely not going to practice, right? We know that. But is it a game time decision? I think that they'll know, by Saturday, it won't be Sunday morning if he's going or not. And I think the Colts know if he's going or not. John knows if he's going or not. So, but yeah, if he doesn't go and AR's out and you got to rely on, nothing but backup running backs, in Joe Flacco, who's, pushing 40, if not 40 already, like, he ain't trying to run the football, and guys, I don't want him getting hit. So it'll be rough against a good defense that's not giving up a lot of yards, man. It'll be a tough go.
Speaking of a good defense doesn't give up a lot of yards, we also, we got to talk about Josh Allen, right? That defensive end, that pass rusher they have, has been a nightmare for the Colts over the last few years, but he's dealing with a concussion right now. May or may not clear protocol before he reaches, this Sunday's game. What kind of effect, positive and or negative, whether he plays or does not play, is that for Jacksonville and Indianapolis this coming Sunday?
Well, I mean, it hurts Jacksonville, right? I mean, you got your marquee guy who's out with a concussion, and you know how they, deal with concussions nowadays. They take them very seriously, as they probably should. But, if he doesn't clear it, he just doesn't clear it, right? And so now someone else has to step up. I don't know their depth chart, like that, but there ain't no Josh Allen, right? So it, it works in the Colts' favor as far as being able to protect the passer a little bit better and run the football to his side.
I'm going to interject right here and let you know the guy behind Josh Allen is the guy they grabbed from San Francisco and paid an ass load of money to, Eric Armstead.
Yeah, but I mean, when's the last time you heard Eric Armstead's name being called?
Right.
Like, like Eric Armstead, like to be fair, I forgot he was in the league. he did his thing in San Fran, but this is a classic case of guys getting paid money and their production falls off and they just kind of, float off into the abyss, right? And so he's still a player. Well, where's his motivational level? Like, where's his motivation at? Like, how well does he want to play? Is he a guy that's just going to be out there? Is he going to be a guy that's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder with something to prove? Like, I don't know, right? I don't know what that is. Like, now, when he was playing at his top, at his best, he could play. He was a player. So I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just saying he ain't starting over Josh Allen. There's a reason why he's not on the other side. There's a whole, thing there where you got a guy that's getting paid a lot of money. He ain't playing. That's a telltale sign that he ain't good enough to be out there on the field. I don't care how much money you pay him.
Yeah, I hear you. Now their secondary looks pretty banged up. We got guys, Jerry Jones, Darnell Savage, both of them I believe they're both the nickelbacks. Yes, they're both playing nickelback for the Jaguars. Savage obviously came from Green Bay. Jerry's third round draft pick this past year. That's their nickel cornerbacks, and they're both seemingly hurt right now. We just watched our guy Josh Downs last week chew up a very good secondary for Pittsburgh. Is this another opportunity for Josh Downs maybe to cement his effectiveness on this offense?
Absolutely. Like, if there's going to be some holes, there's going to be some weaknesses, some chinks in the armor in the secondary, you better believe that somebody like Joe Flacco is going to know how to pick that apart. I think that's where it comes into play, where you have to figure out, and that's where the beauty of this whole thing is. It's more than just looking at an injury report. It's more than just seeing if a guy can go or not. It's a game planning, right? It's about matchups. It's about what is the best matchup where I can exploit or have the advantage over, right? So if I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, I got Josh Allen out, right? So now I can slow the pass rush down a little bit more, be more effective, right? I got the secondary banged up. I've got my receivers that are ready to rock and go. I got young guys that are hungry. I'm going to teach them during the week how to expose this defense, right? We're going to pick on certain matchups. I think this is a game where Joe Flacco should be starting at quarterback, to be fair. Like, I think that this is a game where you put Joe in the situation. You have AR back up ready to go if needed. Let him get healed up all the way, and then let Joe pick apart a young, inexperienced, injured, banged up secondary. I think that's the way you should approach this game. Now, I'm not a coach, I'm not a coordinator, I'm not anything, but I'm just talking in general. If we're playing chess, that's the chess move that I think I will look at throughout the week to be able to to have an advantage of just going into the game before we even snap the football. At least I know there's someone that can really read and dissect and break down.
So we're going to flip over to the Colts defense and the Jaguars offense. And right now, Travis Etienne also dealing with an injury. He's dealing with shoulder injury. Been an absolute stud for this team while he's been there over the last couple of years. But this is a team that when you walked into it, you wouldn't have thought, oh, this team has not been very good in the past, but incredibly good in the run. But that's exactly what they've been. As a team, the Jaguars are second in the league at yards per carry, 5.7 yards a carry as a team on the offense. And we already know earlier this year, the Colts, defense with some of their better players had problems stopping the run. Now every week we seem to be losing, more and more guys off that front seven to IR. Latest obviously being Tyquan Lewis earlier this week with that elbow injury. But the passing game for the Jaguars just hasn't seemed to have been there so far this season. Right now, yards per attempt for the Jaguars, one of the worst in the league at 5.8 yards per attempt. And believe it or not, only 53.8 completion percentage for a certain Trevor Lawrence. So it looks like they're leaning more heavily into their run game. Yes, Jaguars are 0-4, but they're leaning heavier into their run game and less as much effective in the air. Is that does Gus Bradley look at this game and go, okay, take what the stats are showing, what they're showing the first four games, or do you still worry more about the pass because, I mean, you look at the passing, they got lots of weapons over there.
Yeah, they have lots of weapons over there, but they haven't been using them, right? It has not been effective. If you look at it from a standpoint of this is a good rushing team. Like they can run the football. They're averaging 5 yards a carry. You know, that's in the upper echelon of the league, right? And if you really look at their 4 losses, only one of them was a blowout against Buffalo. Like they were in every single one. Like they were. I think they haven't lost by more than 4 points besides that one where they got blown out. So running the football effectively, having a strong run game is going to keep you in the games if you've only thrown 4 touchdowns and you're barely losing football games in the league. But that's the NFL, right? A loss is a loss, and a lot of these games are, 7 or less points going to determine, the winner of a game. That's just what it is. So, but at the end of the day, nonetheless, I think Gus Bradley has to respect the run game. You have to respect it. You also have to respect the pass game because they're going to throw the football. We know that. Just having guys in the right spots, the right matchups, but they're going to run the football. But you better believe that Etienne's going to be out there. He's going to, the shoulder's not going to limit him. His legs still work. Just seeing how much wear and tear he can take throughout the course of this game. But I think Gus Bradley needs to definitely gear up against the run. I think this is a game where I think Gus goes back to Gus type. I know we talked about the game last week where, you saw a little bit more pressure from Gus. They got on him quick. I think you'll see a little bit less pressure this game, just because of the simple fact that you have to respect the run game, but you have to respect the pass game. But if you blitz and you're wrong here, you're going to get gashed.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get gashed straight up. So, yeah, I mean, you can roll the dice and rush, but we're so banged up on the defensive line that kind of the ideology is changing. It's changing a little bit over the course of the week. I think that Gus is seeing that his D line, the Colts D line, isn't at full strength, and it's not going to be one of those like last year where we can not blitz and just worry, just let those 4 guys up front get pressure. This ain't that anymore with Taekwon going down. You got I mean, we can run down the list of guys. Quiddy Pay, Forrest Buckner's, or still not back yet.
Sampson got left earlier during
right? Yeah. So this is a team, and this is football, man. You go in and you everybody's 100 and blink of an eye, you got 2 guys out and 3 to 4. So this is a game where Gus is going to be challenged to kind of know what his mix is going to be. Is it going to be a pressure game? If I roll the dice, I might get gashed. But, Travis is still a very talented quarterback.
Trevor. Yeah.
Trevor. I'm sorry, Trevor. Trevor is a very talented – Trevor Lawrence, very talented quarterback. So, he can still sling it now. So, you got to respect that as well. And you don't want to be the team that gets them going, that starts up their, gets their fire started, right? So, it'll be interesting to see what the game plan will be.
We play a lot of cover 3. Would you run more single high in this game, being that they've been more effective in the run game and our defensive line is a little bit banged up? Would you bring that strong safety into the box more often in this game?
100%. I mean, I would probably do that. Me, I'm aggressive. I play cover 0 now. I'm just joking. but yeah, I think you'll see single high with the safety roll down just to add to the run fit so that they don't get going. Now you test out, you see where they're at, right? And you might adjust. You might see single high, right? And then you might see different coverage here after halftime where they're making adjustments. So it'll be interesting to see what Gus kind of has cooked up for this offensive attack that the Jaguars are going to try to bring to him.
Now, there isn't just blitzing in the pass game. There are such a thing as run blitzes where you're expecting the run and you send guys through every run gap, right? That's what you do. That's the idea. And then if it ain't a run, you just keep going towards the quarterback and hope and pray that you get there before, a quick dump off. Last week we saw some calls a little bit out of character for Gus Bradley where he was blitzing a little bit more against Pittsburgh. Would you rather sit, with just the 4-man pressure, or would you use some of those blitz calls maybe to kind of get some negative, plays on them offensively to set them back.
You have to. So I was, and this is how I was taught, right? And this is I learned from different coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know blitz percentages. You have to know tendencies. You have to know, the whole deal, right? So I think it's going to be a situational kind of deal where it's all right. We look at it like traditionally 1st and 10. They're running the football. There's 65-70% of the time they run the football. I'm going to have a run blitz on right now, right? And so like when you get into different situations, like I don't think this is a game where Gus is going to try to catch you off guard so to speak, like blitz like on third and 6, right? And I'm going to send the blitz like when I know that they're throwing the football and that there's a hole. There's a shifty guy. He's in that the X or whatever. He can get across the middle, get the yards. They get a first down. I think he sits back in that situation and relies on those 4 guys up front to try to generate some pressure, and everybody just plays in pass coverage. I think this is going to be a game where, this is a statement game because this is definitely a divisional game, 100%. So there's going to be some shots taken on defense and offense. There's going to be some, the gun's coming out the holster, and we got to shoot it, right? Like, me and Gary Brackett coach our sons together, and he's always like, you got to shoot your gun at some point. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that's going to be the key to it, is going to just kind of figuring out, when you want to shoot your gun, right? Because you got to, right? I just don't know how Gus is going to approach this day. I think it's a hard-fought football game up front on both sides of the football. I think that whoever bends first is the one that's going to break in this situation. And that's just how divisional games go. Is it going to be, are there going to be no blitzes? Of course not. Right. But you just got to make sure that you call the right ones when the time is right, is all I'm saying.
So the pass defense for the Indianapolis Colts has not been very good this year. They've given up 3 people have had 300 yards or more passing. 3 people. We've given up 1,031 yards passing so far this year, which is 7th worst in the league, and 7.8 yards per attempt, which is 7th worst in the league as well. We talk about, how Trevor just hasn't been very good this year with that passing game, but we've, as a team, have shown we make Justin Fields look good. We made a rookie look good. We've looked a lot of different people Malik Willis, right? I mean, we made him look like an all-pro, down there in Green Bay. So how worrisome is that? Is there something we can do to fix that and yet at the same time be mindful this is a damn good running game?
Yeah. So we're not making anybody look good. I hate when people say that. I'm not coming at you. It just is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if a backup can come in and do what he did against our secondary, if other quarterbacks are coming in and having successful days against our secondary. Listen, what's the saying? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's you know what I'm saying? So it's
a turtle.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, like, we just got to get better in the secondary. There's 2 words. I got 2 words. All right. Jalen Simpson. That's all I'm gonna say. We got to get him. We got to put him up there. I think that this kid is bringing something to playing safety and corner. I'll leave that alone. That's for another discussion. But we got to do something where we're bringing guys in off the street. We're elevating guys, and we got a guy in the stable who's ready to go. That's my guy. So I'm going to vouch for him. I'm going to rock for him. But, I'm saying, like, it's only a matter of time before, we see him out there. But, nonetheless, our secondary has always been the question mark. The past couple years, it hasn't been the D-line. We've done a good job of building the defensive lineup and the offensive lineup. It's that secondary, right? And now you got Kenny Moore that's banged up. This is early in the season. You have to look at, all right, guys got to step up. Because there's only but so many coverages you can play, right? So, like, you keep mixing it up and you got guys that can't play certain coverages, what have you. So that's not the way to go. You got the guys that you have. they play your defense, Gus. Like, we got to figure out, is it a personnel issue or is it a scheme issue? Right? Like, that's the only two. I mean, I don't know how, like, it's personnel or scheme, one or the other, or is it both? And if it's both, then somebody's got to go. Right? And you can read between the lines of that. So I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not going to say it's personnel. I want to see some different guys mix it in there, though, and see if it is a personnel issue, because I think the scheme is all right. I really do. I wholeheartedly do. I just think the guys are just not fitting in that scheme, if that makes sense, right? So, but we've had some injuries, and that hurts, right? When you don't have you go into the season and you got guys 100%, and then you lose guys within the first couple of games, it definitely hurts, man.
Yeah, we still got guys that are hurt. I mean, Kenny Moore, still dealing, and then you got,
Juju's gone.
Juju's gone. Yeah, so when we got guys out there that's hurt, we're getting ready to wrap this up a little bit. Heading into the second quarter of the 2024 NFL season, the Indianapolis Colts are heading down to a division opponent where they have lost 9 straight years. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this game for the Colts to walk out with a W?
20. I mean, it's off the charts. It's a divisional game. Like, if you don't win this game, you're basically going to give the division to Houston. Like, you got to win this. You've got to win out. Like, you've got to. This is a division where, like, it's between you and Houston. It's between the Colts and Houston right now to get into the playoffs. And, you go into these divisional games, and the weight of these games is triple, quadrupled, as opposed to just another game. I mean, they're all important, but you got to win your division. I mean, I learned that quick as a rookie. I mean, my first team meeting, Tony Sperano was like, our goal is to win the division. It's not to make the playoffs. So we'll make the playoffs, but we have to win our division. And they were just pounded into us every day, win the division, win the division. So the Colts got to win the division. It starts, if you have another chance this weekend to right the ship, to get to 500 in the division, right? And so it's huge, man. It's they got to win. They have to win. And I'm going to go with the Colts to win this football game. So if you want to jump to predictions, I'm going to jump to it. They have to win this football game. I think the Colts win this game by 4 points. I think this is going to be a game where it's about, a 21-17 game. Right? Like, I see it being somewhere around there, but I think the Colts pull this one out. I think they break the cycle. I think they understand. I think these guys are getting scrappy. These guys are starting to play together a little bit more. You saw that last week. I think that they are starting to understand, how to play, when we're not 100% and guys have to bond together. It's huge. But I also will put an asterisk on that and say that Colts win if Joe Flacco starts this game. Pause for effect. But that's my prediction, right? I just feel like I gave that prediction because I think this is a game where you rest Anthony if he's not 100. And I said this on the last episode. If Anthony is not 100% the closest to being the best version of himself healthy-wise, you are putting that at a disadvantage by having him start an NFL game where he's been making mistakes. He hasn't been crisp, and he hasn't made the best decisions at times, where he's going to be limited or hindered on him running. Doesn't want to get hit. Somebody's going to line. Listen, I'm a linebacker. I'm a DB. He runs. I'm lining that hip up. First time I get you, I'm going right at his hip. That's just football. It's not,
and it's a legal shot. I mean, it's right there in the mid.
Right. Yeah. It's not a concussion where or I'm trying to hit his head, where hopefully guys don't do that. So, and if
you're sacking him, even if you're a defensive lineman, that's right in the area that you're supposed to be hitting. So
yeah, I need him to be 100. I need him to be 100% version of himself to be successful. Like I said, he's so young in his career. This is okay that if he sits out, let him learn from Joe. Let him see how Joe dissects the game. Let him see Joe up front, starting in front of him, and how he prepares a week and goes into Sunday and ready to rock, and how he communicates and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll be good for him. I think it's a game where Joe's played in a million freaking divisional games. Hell, he's a Super Bowl winner, right? Like, let him go. Like, let him see. Like, make sure Anthony's okay, because if this is still going to be your guy for the future, don't try to play, He-Man or whatever, week 5 of the season. Like, that's just too early for that. So that's all I'm saying as far as I think the Colts should win this football game, but I think it's a game where, Joe Flacco should be the starting quarterback.
I'm okay with Anthony Richardson starting if he is fully mobile, right? He doesn't have that, my hip won't let me go, No, you got to be able to be fully mobile. Now, if it's sore, but he's still fully mobile, I still let him play. But, because sore is sore. But if it gets to the point where it starts affecting his mobility, you take him out, you put Flacco back in there. There's no harm in that. None. Zero harm in that. If he's not 100% mobile, like you said, that takes away from his game. Okay. That's when I'd be like, no, we're starting Flacco, heal up, my guy. That's just my opinion. So either way, I like the Colts odds in this. I think this is going to be kind of I think the Colts win by more than 4. And I know that Jacksonville, there's that stupid Jacksonville weird, is it in the air? Is it in the water? I don't know. But, 9 straight games, 9 straight years. Let's get that monkey off our back. We had that same monkey with Pittsburgh last year. We got that one off our back. Let's get this one off our back. Before that, it was like 10 years that we lost week 1. Well, at least we tied week 1 last year, so we got that done.
You know what's funny? It's a funny stat. I played in the last week 1 win opener when I was with the Colts, 2013. We played the Raiders at home, and we beat them. We came back and beat them, and I didn't realize that since then it had been like a drought.
Yeah,
like week 1 losses. Drought. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But I think we get that monkey off our back. I'm going to say 27-13. Let's go 2 tugs.
Okay.
All right. I want
to see
a dominant game.
Tall order. 2 scores is tall.
But I feel like our offense is good enough to score 27, 30 points. Yeah. I think we got the weapons, especially if Taylor can play. If Taylor can play, I think we have no problem scoring that, especially with the injury problems that Jacksonville has on defense currently.
I just push back against that just because divisional games are just different.
Yes, they are.
They're
100%.
They're just different. Like you just go home and you're like, yo, what just happened? Like I just got hit by a freight train just now. Like you lay it all out there. And guys are willing to lay down for these games.
But, man, the history of the Jacksonville hosting the Colts, it ain't been close games most of the time. Yeah. It's been 10-plus, points, on these losses. And we need to put our stamp right now. We're 2-2. We win 1, we're in the positives, right? We're above 500, getting ready, looking to, in that divisional race, in the playoff race. This is make or break right now. It's not a must win, but it's right there, right?
It's not a must win, but it's a must win.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's a must. You got to win this game.
You got to win the game.
You got to win it.
I mean, your chances aren't completely eliminated, obviously, at this point in the season if you lose. Right. But boy, does it make it a lot, look a lot better on you. And it's not just, record wise, but right here, the players and coaches right here. That's where I feel like it affects most.
Well, I'm saying it's a must win because if you don't win this game, then you have to run the table in the division after this. Like you almost have to because you
because you're going to be starting off 0-2.
Yeah, and you're like 3-3 is like you ain't winning division going 3-3. So like you have to win this football game to keep yourself alive to win the division. So you don't have to play. You don't have to be the wild card, and then you get all these playoff scenarios. So and so's got to lose, and this person's got to lose, and for you to. I'm not doing all that. Like let's just win the division, take care of that, let the chips fall where they may. So this is a must win. I feel like your goal. You have all 17 games, but your goal should be 6-0 in the division, 5-1 at worst. 4-2 is all right. Okay. But you should want to be, you got to win the division. You have to. That's just why we have them. That's why we, the things shake up the way they do. So, like, you got to win this game. You have to. It's huge.
Yep. You heard it here. Colts have to win this game, and they're going to win between 4 and 14 points. Somewhere in that vicinity.
Somewhere in that range. Somewhere there. They'll win.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode of Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was brought to you by Bet Online, and as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Do you believe?